Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee Talk. And it's way past beginning to look like Christmas.
Sure is.
Yesterday, I was walking up to I'm like, we're less than 2 weeks to Christmas. This is unbelievable. Yeah. But it is a beautiful time of year because there's wonderful things happening all around us. And And so anyways, but before we get too far down the road of what's coming up, looking back, we're in the Songs of Christmas, Zechariah's song, which I appreciate. You said, he anticipates the Messiah all through it, but it's very much one of those things where, I don't know, like if I went 9 months without talking, not sure it's the first things I would say. I don't know what I would say would be my first words that I would want to say. But we're all where I thought we'd take it this morning is we're all dads, meaning we've all spent 9 months with our wives who are expecting. I remember our first child. So when we were expecting Micaiah. I remember a lot of days, a lot of conversations around food. Not even the crazy, I'm not going like crazy craving things. I mean like, what do you want to eat? Nothing. She would say, I don't want to eat it. Just nothing because I'll throw it up anyways. Yeah. And so diet was very much I was kind of on my own then in some nights where I'm just like, okay, well, I'm going to go over here and eat something where you can't smell it or see it or be aware that there's any food going on. Because it was a rough time. How do you think your wives would do if you couldn't speak for 9 months?
Wow.
This is, I feel like a question I would, I kind of want to just call Sheena right now and be like, hey, how do you think that would go?
I have a feeling Sheena would have something cheeky to say, like, what's the difference or something?
She might, She's like, typical date night.
I feel like my wife would say similar, like, not a huge difference because I'm fairly quiet.
Well, that's funny. I'm probably much more talkative than both of you then because I don't think Cheryl would have anything like that to say. I don't know though. Like for us, she was still ill at that time. And I'm really, you guys will probably have to call Cheryl and ask her what kind of therapy she needs because during our pregnancy with Jack, I was actually gone for 2 weeks on a mission trip at one point where I was like, she was 7 months or something. Wow. Maybe not that much, but no, I had to help her and maybe it's more listening that I had to do, but I thought I had to, arrange things for her and talk to people for her and whatever. So it would be really tough. To be
this is my new theory based on all of this conversation. I think God actually had this planned out long before to say, you know what, when you have a pregnant wife, this is just a good way to be. So go rub her feet, don't talk, just go rub her feet, go get her a snack if she needs it, go, get her an ice pack or that's your job. Shush. Just go do it. I think there's a lot of servanthood that could and should and does come from husbands who just, you know what, it's not my job to comment on any of this right now. It's just my job just to go serve and to do it quietly and caringly. And
wow, what you said there is gold. It's not my job to comment on this. How often would it be better to just not comment,
Well, I do think there's a huge difference between, wanting to speak or wanting to communicate and not being able to speak and being able to speak but just having nothing to say. And because I imagine actually it would be an entirely frustrating experience if you want to speak but can't, right? And it's not like he learned sign language or anything like that, right? It's just you in an instant lose that ability. How do you then communicate? I mean, we get from scripture that he had a writing tablet, right? He was able to write out his name as John.
My mind kind of paused right there. Like, what was that like? And how, this is now a new added expense for him or something like that as well.
Right. Was it always there? Did he rip a shingle off of something? Or did it take 8 months to figure out, hey, we should give that guy something to write on because he's really grumpy? Because I think we were talking about this just before we hit record too. when you see a toddler, right? Usually they're a child who wants to speak, has something to communicate. They know what they want. They know what they don't want. They know how they're feeling. Sort of. It's always bad, right? They know there's something not right, but they don't know how to express it and communicate it and get help. It just leads to this can lead to this explosion of frustration or extreme apathy, where the person's just like nothing faces them. Yeah. And I imagine for him, it was more like that frustration of, I have something I need to say, but not able to do it. Like, I think because we think of him as a holy person, we think, oh, he's probably just chill and, just kind of hung out and spent all that time praying, but culturally, probably not. Probably it was like, no, I need to shout at the dog, or I need to, do this and that and the other thing, and just not able to, like, it's such a disruption for life.
Oh, yeah.
And yet, I almost wonder too, okay, so when our kids were much younger, we would send them to the timeout chair, send them to the corner, whatever. Sure. Our expectation was, you're going into that spot because you have something to think about. So I'm wondering, was there something that God actually said, you know what, I actually do need you to go and think and pray for the next 9 months. You and I are going to work some stuff out so that when you can talk, which will be on my terms, not yours, then I want you to come at this or come at life or whatever with a right attitude, because you now have to raise this child up so that he is ready and prepared and focused on the scripture and on the good news of God that is coming long before the Messiah comes, right? Like, you need to verse this child in Isaiah 16, the mountains and hills will be made low because the king is coming, right? Like, maybe there's just some heart churning that needed to happen there. But yeah, did he actually do it? I don't know, maybe.
Just my brain flashed to Mary shows up to visit Elizabeth, and they go into the house, and there's this wall with just scribbled all over it. Kind of like Nebuchadnezzar kind of thing. The hand, right? Just these like. It could easily look like a bad man.
Trying to say.
Did you not hear me? So I think one of the other cool things about this story is how it has similarities and overlaps with other parts of Scripture. And we see this again and again when God is at work. He doesn't always repeat himself, but he will use similar patterns. Like, as you were even talking about him, I was thinking about, like, Paul losing his sense of sight. Yeah. And how that was like, God just doesn't do these things willy-nilly. Like, because it is, like you said, Kevin, to create an environment where we can learn a lesson of some kind. And I think about, Saul, as he was known in that time, right? Encountering Jesus on the road, losing his sense of sight for the purpose of, I think, humbly learning a lesson, right? To rely and build a bridge with other, already followers of Jesus. And of course, Zechariah was not like this murderous, he didn't have a side gig where he was persecuting people who weren't following God right. But yet he still had something to learn in all of this. And so I think as we approach Scripture and we hear these stories, maybe that they're like, we hear often at Christmas, right? This isn't the first time at Christmas we've talked about Zechariah and Elizabeth and their son who would be. But, I would just encourage this church, like, look for the ways in Scripture that we have these similarities and repeats. Because my brain also went back to, like, Abraham and Sarah, right? When Isaac was foretold, and what was her response? She laughed. Yeah. It was such a comical moment to her. Like, I'm an old woman. I'm going to have a kid. Yeah. And so many parallels in there between these two events, right? A child of promise, a child of significance that God would use in the preparation for the Messiah, and responses that kind of had some similarities, right? That doubt. No one laughs at God because they totally in, usually, unless you're twisted. But like, it's that she too doubted. Now, as I recall, I don't think she lost her ability to speak for 9 months,
So,
which
yeah.
at that point actually wasn't
Yeah.
just 9 months, if I recall. It was-
But her household did sort of get ripped apart a little bit.
yeah, there was
I think
definitely
that's- I
some
think that's a
turmoil
bit-
there.
A bit more.
Yeah.
I think that's more veering into the when we try and fulfill God's promises
Yeah,
on
yeah.
our own strength and our
Yeah.
own way and our own limited resources. There's sometimes consequences that come with not waiting. But anyways, it is the time of year where we have these familiar stories that we come back to again and again because, well, they form us into the people of God, right? That sense of expectation and waiting. And thankfully, none of us lost our, any of our senses or capacities when we were, expecting children with our wives. But, may we in this season of expectation be people who trust and rely on the promise of God. And I think that's what we kind of we'll leave you with this morning in that regard, as you consider these songs of Christmas and they're, songs of fulfillment, songs of anticipation, songs of trust and dependence and marveling at what God can do. Now, it is a season of expectation, and there are things to look forward to.
Yep.
Jeff, you've got, I think, a list going with a few of
I
those
do,
things.
so-
As you pulled it up, this Sunday is the kids' drama in the. Well, is it a drama or a musical? Because there's a lot of music.
It's both.
It's kind of a
both. It's
musical drama?
Musical drama.
Musical drama
Very-
that I was counting up. We have. This is in my board report for tonight. We have 20 kids involved in the cast and crew
Wow.
from 3 months to 16 years.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful spread, and we want to invite you to make sure you're here for that on at 10 o'clock Sunday morning.
Sunday, yeah.
And if you're not able to be here in person, of course, it will be. I think we're streaming it, right?
Yeah,
Like our normal
so
service, or at least recording
We're
and
going to
uploading.
record and we're going to release later.
That's
so
great.
for those that are going to be watching that Sunday morning, there is no live stream. It is going to be coming later on, and you can catch that out Sunday afternoon.
It's always a little technically challenging when we have so many mics and extra young actors who don't always remember to turn them on and things like that. And
Yeah.
we
And
want to
so-
make sure we're putting out something that's watchable.
Well, watchable, but also we want to make sure that each kid's part is heard and
Yes.
recorded well, so that, I go home and I practice my line and I practice my line and I practice my line and then I forget it or something, right?
Yeah.
We want to make sure that that kid is heard, if their mic isn't on. So,
Right.
yeah.
So be prepared for that. If you're tuning in on the live stream at 10 a.m., you just won't see it.
It'll be late.
It'll be late, but it'll be coming. You can patiently expect that and anticipate it to
right.
be coming later.
In
We're
silence.
waiting, yeah.
Yeah, well, or not. I mean, you can text us and be like, "Hey, where's the live stream?" And we'll just have to remind you of this. But that's all right. What else do we need to know, Jeff?
So later that day is the Sip and See for Baby Noah. That's from 2 to 4 on Sunday afternoon. So who's that for? Is that for anybody? Is that for the women? Is that
I thought it said ladies.
ladies? Okay, so
Ladies,
it's for
come on
ladies
out.
to come on out and
Sip and see.
just get to know Baby Noah and Kathleen a little bit
I'm
more.
assuming that's tea and coffee sipping. Let's
yeah.
move on.
Yep.
That's great. So that's Sunday afternoon at what time?
2 to 4. Yep.
Beautiful.
And I think it's a drop in as you want. 2 to
Okay.
4. So that's
No real
yep.
program. Just come, hang out.
That's what I
hold the
remember.
baby.
Yeah.
I have been so. It's wonderful being at church on a Sunday morning with so many babies around these
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
And just watching new parents just be like, hey, you want to hold my kid? Hey, you want to hold my kid? And just the way that there's community of care built around
Yeah.
that.
There is also the possibility of a group gift. So if you want to be a part of that,
Okay.
you can contact
That's right.
Alyssa.
Excellent. Now, Christmas Eve is the following Sunday.
Yes.
Sorry, my heart skipped a beat there. I'm like, is that right? Is that real?
Yes.
I did
Yes.
say a minute ago, like 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks.
We are a
crazy,
week
yeah.
and a half-ish.
Yeah.
Yes. So I know I've been asked a couple. Like, there's 2 services.
Yep.
There's the morning, which is going to be basically the 4th service of Advent,
Yep.
and then the evening. Kevin,
Yep.
any info about the evening that
Yep,
you want to pass on?
6:30 that evening, and it is a candlelight service, and we're going to sing some carols, and just connect around the Christmas story, and just finish off the Songs of Advent series.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else? I think that's
I
probably
think that's
it. Those 3
Just-
things. The
just
service.
so people know that we have Gifts of Hope in the sanctuary right now, and it's the biggest year yet. Like, there are so many people needing help. We had in this room Don Richardson and Richmond, sorry.
That's okay.
I keep doing that. Don Richmond and the Warriors were here, and they packed 100 hampers. Usually it's 80, I think. So there's more this year. So there's just more need, and so if you have opportunity to help with Salvation Army, the kettlebell, they're trying to do get people to help with that. If you have anything to give towards those things, there's just a lot of people really hurting and needing right now. So, and we are helping through some of these things, and that's really exciting. And if you can help more, that's great.
Excellent. Well then, lots to consider and be involved in the days ahead. Thanks for spending some time with us, and we look forward to seeing you on Sunday.